Morning guys. So I'm going to do something a little bit different. I wanted to take a break from the cricket everything. And I'm going to make two cards today. And I'm going to use both the Concord and Ninth Dahlia set, turnabout stamp set, and this is an old My Pink Stamper stamp set, but it's just got words of encouragement on it. Basically these are two sentiment stamp sets mostly. Obviously the turnabout has that on it, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I think at the moment we all need a bit of encouragement, a bit of positive stuff. So I basically have got both my Misties. I call them Misties. They're not actually Misties. They're my Misties, if you know what I mean. One is actually a Hampton Art Misty stamp press. I don't know what we call these things. And the other one is my Timmy one, which obviously is not going to fit in. They're not both going to fit in here, and I have reflection everywhere, sorry. But what I've done is I've got some acrylic paper. I have a lot of it on hand, so I thought I need to use it. That's really good if you're using any, obviously, acrylic paint, but if you're using anything with moisture in it, so watercolours, your distress inks, where you can, you know, create splatter and stuff like that. They're good papers for that because they don't, they can handle the moisture or the water. So all I did is I've got my panels in here, and there is a textured side, and then the back of it is slightly smoother. So I've actually got it on the smoother side. It's not totally smooth, just so that I can hopefully get a better stamp. And I've just arranged these. Hopefully you'll be able to see enough of this without too much reflection. I've arranged them on the paper, just all the words. So this is the My Pink Stamper set, and I just arranged them all on there in sort of random, going different directions. You know, not all the same direction. You can see it a bit better in this one. So this is the same paper, same size paper, but obviously there's fewer stamps. So I've just taken a sentiment stamp set and basically arranged all the sentiments in different directions. This one has words that work with these bigger sentiments, so like you are amazing. So I've arranged them so they kind of read something. So hi friend, you make me smile, hello gorgeous, and stuff like that. So I've kind of arranged them a little bit like that. And I'm going to heat emboss them and then show you how we get some colour onto them. And again, because of the paper, we can do that. So I think I'm going to start with this one, because I actually think this is going to be my easier one. I do struggle with my my Timmy. This is my squeaker. You like my squeaker? It's my mouse, basically. I love my Timmy one, but it's I find it quite hard to press down on, so I might get a bigger version of this one as well at some point, but this works for most size cards. If I can get into this, this would be useful. Yeah, there we go. Right, so I have my heat tool over here. I have one of these coffee filter things. It's just for your embossing powder. And at the moment I have my powder tool, which is very powdery. But what you're doing is you get your powder on your card, just like so, and it takes away any moisture. I don't know why I'm putting it back in there for now. It takes away any moisture or oils on the paper, so that when you ink and then, oh, I need ink. When you ink and then put your embossing powder on it, it won't stick to it. This is just a makeup brush, because, you know, it works. It's just a fan brush, and I'm just going to get the excess off here. So you're not taking it off, I just need to get my ink. You're not taking the powder off, but you're just getting rid of the excess powder. I've got some Versamark. Hopefully this is inky enough. Let's try that. And if you rub across it's easier when you've got a sleeve on, you can just use your sleeve to do that. But if you just rub across it, it should hopefully work. I'm going to also do these in 2 different powders. So I'm going to do one in a white embossing powder. So don't worry about the brand, just use the brand that you have. And I'm going to use a clear on the other one. So one will show up obviously being white. Hopefully that's enough. One will obviously show up as a white embossing, and the other one will show up with a clear, so it will show I don't know what I'm trying to say. Right, let's use the clear one. So the clear one will then show my idea is to show the texture of the card in the background because it's clear, but we shall see. We shall see. Oh, and that didn't work at all. Okay, that sort of worked. So the only word, so this word hasn't come out. And the word smile. So in that case, I am going to dust all of them off, all the powder off, and we're going to do it again. So you see my mistakes. It's not really a mistake, it's just it didn't completely ink. So I'm going to go back in, really ink it. And really smush it down. These are the 2 words that just did not want to ink. Probably find they were inked, but they just didn't press hard enough, so it didn't go onto, onto the paper where I needed it. Aha. Let's try that again. Let's just tip this. Back in there. Let's try again, guys. It could also be because it's so textured that there you go, that I just needed to be a bit more, I don't know what the word is, but now you won't be able to see it too well on there, but the powder's on all the words, so that's good. So just put this back in here. So let's get this is going to get loud. but you know. Right, so this is now heat embossed. See if I can get the reflection. Oh yeah. So there you go. So this was the word that didn't come out, and smile. It just didn't. There we go. So I'm going to do the other one now. So this is with clear ink, and I'm going to leave that to one side, and we're going to do the exact same thing with this one. So I've got all my words. If I can get in here. So powder, dust, ink, so I'm doing exactly the same thing again, and you don't need to watch me do this again. So I am going to get this one done and I'll be back. Right, so I've now got both pieces taped down to, this is just a clipboard, but a hard board. And this one I was able to put a, to tape around the edge here. This is just washi tape, but it's kind of sticky washi tape, if that makes sense. So I was able to get that just to hold it in place. This one I had to take some washi tape and double back on itself, like we used to in the old days when we were kids. We used to sort of double back on a piece of tape, and then it made it sticky on both sides. If you've got temporary adhesive, you can do the same thing, but I just did it that way because these words go right to the edge for the most part. So I'm going to do two styles of doing this. I think, yes, 2 ways to do this. So these are my Brushos, and they are just little pots of very, very intense colour, like seriously pigmented colour. So and you can use these to watercolour with. They're not shimmery or anything like that. They're just a matte finish, but they are very, very intense colour. So I thought they'd be kind of fun to use today. So I'm going to pick some colours, and I think actually turquoise would be a nice one. And these are just a set of 12 that I got, and really you don't need more than that. You can make colours from these colours, if that makes sense. So I think what I might do then is go with, I've got turquoise, so let's do purples and a lemon, and turquoise and turquoise and orange. I mean, I don't know. And what I have here, sorry, just so you see, this is just a little pin. If I can get it out of here, but that's a good thing. It's just one of these little pin things. I don't know what they're called. And I literally just made a hole in the top here. I haven't actually opened the seal. You honestly won't need a lot for this. So what I'm going to do is, so I've got purple and lemon for this side, and then I have turquoise and orange for this one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to, there's 2 ways to do this. So this side I'm going to, which way do I want to do it? I'm going to wet the paper first and then sprinkle, and this side I'm going to sprinkle then wet the paper. Now I'm going to do it the other way around just because I've got tape on this one. So this one we're going to sprinkle first and then wet, and this one I'm going to wet with water first and then put the colour on. If that made any sense. So we're going to sprinkle a bit now. You won't need a lot, believe me. But I'm just going to, so this is the purple. And don't forget, you can hardly see that, right? You'll be, well, I'm always amazed. And I'm just tapping. Very slightly. So I have a distress sprayer here. You can use any sprayer. You could sprinkle water on if you wanted to, but I'm just gonna spritz it and see what happens. And I am actually gonna try and, oh, it doesn't matter because that's gonna, you see? So I'm putting a bit of water on here because I want, and I'm going to leave that to do its thing for a minute because I will want more colour so that the words stand out really, really well. So let's get this one going. So this one I'm going to spritz first. So I'm just getting completely wet. And then I'm going to go in with my turquoise. And this gives a different look. And I've got quite a lot on there. So I do want intense colour, so you know, I'm not going to be shy about it. Oh, I'm getting into this one. This is the orange. And if I need to, I've just got a baby wipe here, but you could use a bit of paper towel and just soak up some of it if it gets a bit too intense. And then this side I do want some more yellow, I think, to start with. And a bit, I know it looks like a hot mess, but it will come good, believe me. Oh yeah. Now, I know I have two here, so this could get well messy, but I still want the words to shine through, so I am going to take a paper, one of these things and just soak up the excess. That's coming along. I would like a little more, I think I want a bit more do I? Let's dry them off a little bit. Right, so I think what I'm going to do, just going to clean up the edges here, and I'm going to take this tape off because I think this way of doing it actually worked a bit better because the paper can move, but normally taping it down works pretty well. So the other one is still actually stuck to this, so right, a little bit more dry time, and then I'm going to let them air dry, and I will be back to show you what we're going to do with them. So just play around with things. You can also, instead of using things like wet colour like this, you can either use your powders, or you can use like your paint palettes, like a watercolour palette, or you could use your dye inks. You know, you could smush them on the side and add a bit of water and a paintbrush and paint water on and get a similar effect. This way you get really intense colour. The other way it might be more muted unless you dry in between, and then, you know, once each layer is dry, then you can add more colour. Just make sure they are dry before you add more colour, because sometimes you'll get this muddied effect and it'll just turn into mush, so and it won't be the colours that you want. But the other way of doing it is to use your ink and blend over the top, and what will happen is the ink will resist the embossing powder, you know, where the embossed areas are, and when you then take a paper towel over the top just to rub off the excess ink that sits on top of the embossed areas, then you'll suddenly see the colours, you know, your words or your images coming back to life, kind of thing. So inking over the top works the same sort of way. This is just a very watercolor look that you've got going on here. And don't forget, when you ink over the top, you can still do all your, like if you used your distress inks, you could still do all your splatters, your water splatter and all that sort of thing. And then afterwards, just make sure you get the ink off the top, and it'll be fine. It'll look lovely. So I'm going to let these air dry. I'm going to dry a little bit more, but I'm going to let them air dry as well, and I'll be back with the rest of hopefully what isn't too long a video. I can see I'm already at 15 minutes on this bit, so hopefully you're not bored yet. Right, so now that we've got the backgrounds nicely done and dried, I've trimmed them down a little bit, and I'll go through the rough sizing of these guys. But didn't they turn out nice? So this one was using the clear, and this one is using the white, and you can see the difference that it does have and it does make. So yeah, I like both of them. So right, how am I going to do it? Right, so I will just tell you first of all what I've trimmed these down to, and then I'll explain the rest of it. So this one is down to 4.5 by 6 1/4 is what I trimmed that down to, and then this one I have trimmed to 5 by 7. So what I've done is I've just created card bases that are going to work with those sizes. So for my yellow and purple one, the card base is 5 by 7. Yep, so it's 7 by 5 across here, but when you start out it'll be 7 by 10 and folded it at 5 inches, and that will fit that on there just with a nice border. And then this second panel in the blue is 5.5 by 7.5, so it would have been 11 inches by 7.5, and then folded at 5.5, if that hopefully makes sense. And that way this can fit on here with just a bit of a border around it. So I think what I'm going to do, oh, I'll show you these as well. And so I was trying to decide, because this has obviously a whole bunch of words and sentiments on it, and I didn't want to add another sentiment to it, and I didn't know how to, and by this point I had the idea of this was great, but I then was a bit bamboozled as to what to do with it next. So I decided that was the sentiment, so I needed something to go on it. So what I did was, this yellow is Stampin' Up's Daffodil Delight, and the navy is Stampin' Up's Night of Navy, and it's the same as the card bases. And so what I did was I actually pulled out an old Stampin' Up stamp set, and this is Sunshine Wishes is the die set, and it goes with, just drag it out in case you've got it, goes with the Sunshine Sayings, which has a whole bunch of words and some stamps, stamp flowers, sorry. But I like this one because it also had words. So these die cut words that you can use. So I pulled that out, but that's, I think, long retired now, I think. I don't know. And what I did was I cut it out, each of them out 3 times, and just stacked them with some wet adhesive, and that way they become just a little bit thicker than just the piece of cardstock, if you can see that there. It will focus. It's just a little bit thicker, so, and I thought that'll look nice just as something on the card. These are going to be a little bit different for me, these kind of cards, but we're going to wing it. And then I also have my trusty, this is, oh my gosh, I've had this for many, many years. This is a We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder, I think is what it's called. And this is got the 1/4 and the 1/2 inch, just the rounded corners, that's what I'm trying to say. So I thought we would do that on both of these. So I'm going to start with, I'm kind of going to do them together, just because I'm going to do a similar thing on both and just show you how you can do that. So on the larger one, which is the blue one, I'm going to use the 1/2 inch side. And all you do is you butt the corner, you can see that, into the punch and then just punch it down. So we're just going to do that on all 4 sides. And I must be at a weird angle here because I keep whacking into my tripod. So that makes for that just something different on the corners. I can also do the corners of the card, and you can do these at the same time. Make sure I'm on the right one. It will go through thicker material. It's actually quite a good buy if you can buy one. I would get it. Oh, so now we have our card. Let me zoom out a little bit, just so maybe you can see a little bit more of what I'm doing. That's a bit better. So that will now sit the right way up on there, and it's just got a rounded edge. So I'm actually going to do the same thing with this one, but I'm going to use the 1/4 inch side and just go around here. Oh. 1/4 inch, and I'll show you the difference. They're just a smaller edge. You can actually use them together as well, so you could have the larger one on the card base and then have the smaller one on the, you know, on this piece if you wanted. So that's that little guy. So that will sit on there, and this has got a much bigger border around it. So to make this stand out a little bit more, I tried to find a purple cardstock that kind of matched, because bear in mind these are Brusho colours, so they don't have, you know, like a lot of companies have coordinating ink and paper and card and all that. So I tried to look for a colour that I had that would work, and I just couldn't find it. So I'm going to bring out this, which actually helps if I have a distress tool. Hold on a second. Right, so it helps if you have a tool to put said ink on paper. This is vintage photo distress ink. It's just the original distress ink. This is probably one of the in fact this and aged mahogany were the first ever distress inks I ever bought, and they are still going. I've never re-inked them. They are probably now getting a bit dry, but we are talking like I want to say 12 years ago. So just saying, pretty good. And I'm just going to go around the edges. In this one, there is a colour here that looks a little bit like the color where the colours have mixed. It looks a little bit brown, and then I thought that it would just work really well with the yellows in this one. So all I'm going to do is just take it. I've got my little, this is actually a makeup sponge brush, and I'm just going to gently go around the edges. Let's see if that made into, oh, and the other thing I'm going to do, take a dry bit of this, and where you've embossed, it will actually, the ink will just sit on top of it. So if you buff it, for the most part, it will take it off there. And then it just comes through. I could see it sort of happening there. Same with these ones. So I wanted the ink on the edge of the card, but I didn't want to get rid of the actual, you know, the white or the clear embossed bit. Right, I think we're there. So let's see. Still feel like this one's not as exciting for me. Has that ever happened to you? Okay, well, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take both of these, because we're doing both at the same time. I'm grabbing these guys. Now these I'm just going to stick with some craft tacky glue. And I know already where I want these guys, so I did some planning. Doesn't happen often, but you know. And this is what happens. Does this happen to you? You get involved and you start gluing things and then you can't talk. Eee. I know. So there's kind of a gap here, and I just want to not cover it up, but I just wanted to sort of not be there. So I thought this coming out from the edge would actually look quite nice. And here's another little tip if you don't know this one already. Put something heavy like an acrylic block over the top while it's drying, and then it will help to hold it in place long enough for the glue to dry. Especially if it's like a tacky glue or something, it'll dry pretty quickly, but it will, you know, you need to kind of hold it down sometimes. Depends what you're sticking down, but I always find that quite helpful. See, gone quiet again. Probably the only time you'll find me quiet. I'm kidding. And this one, I actually want, there's the word hello here, and I actually want to put the hello, I can't talk, the hello fits inside the heart, so I thought that'd be quite nice to sort of draw attention to it, if you know what I mean. It fits just in there. So I want to see, is it somewhat straight? Do you see? And then it also highlights that little area. Right, so the last thing I'm going to do, let's just see, I might have I can't get rid of this gold ribbon, seriously. I can't give it away. Oh, it's too much yellow. Oh, hold on. Oh, now I've stuck it on, haven't I? Oh my word. So, we could I think I've got an idea. And I've got too many things going on, right? Right, so finally get to use this purple ribbon. Can you even see what I'm doing? I'm sorry. Let's see, I'm not the best at tying bows. And actually, if I go the other way, as if I'm going to do it upside down, I may just be able to do this. She says. Oh, no way. I don't do ribbon very well, so I tend to not bother using it, you see. Look at that! Now because this is a 5x7 card, this should, yes, this will fit in a standard A5 envelope. So the fact that there's a little bulky bow there, don't matter. Let's put some scissors. Let's make sure I do this the right way. You can tell I totally don't know what I'm doing with the ribbon. Look at that. I'm chuffed with that. Oh, well chuffed. Right, so then this doofer is just going to sit underneath here. Look at that. See, that looks pretty now. I'm happier now. And, oh no, that does fit like that. So I was going to pop this up, but I don't think I'll bother. I think I'm going to just glue it flat, and therefore that means more adhesive. And also because this is, it's got a bit warped from the moisture. And all that water. Now let's see. I don't want to mess up my bow at least. Right, let's see if I can get this in here and somewhat straight and even. Not perfect, but doesn't matter, right? No. Right. So I'm going to stick that there again. Handy little trick. So yay! I used some ribbon. Shocking. Now actually this would work with this as well. So I have an idea now for this one. See, I'm on a ribbon roll now. I'm going to find a straighter piece. Actually, that'll do. What have I got that I can just stick it down with? Right, double-sided tape, that'll do. And I'm going to take this across this bottom bit here, but it's about halfway up that little guy. Do you see where I'm going with this? Or not yet? You will in a minute. Normally I would use just, you know, like normal Scotch tape or whatever it's called. Other brands are available. You know the ones I mean. Sticky tape. Is that what we used to call it when I was a kid? This one I'm going to pop up, I think. I think that'll be quite cool. So I'm going to use... Maybe not. Don't appear to have any... Maybe I won't be then. Hold the phone, I know what I can use. This is fun foam. That's what I'll use at the back. But I'm going to stick these on here. Just with some glue. Don't know why I turned it over, but... So you can use this instead of foam tape if you haven't got foam tape but you've got a load of this stuff on hand, because it's super cheap as well. You can colour coordinate it as well to card bases and stuff like that if you wanted to. I just picked up the first couple that I've got a load of it cut down. So this video is really long now. Wasn't supposed to be, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah, the camera died. So yeah, so I like it. I like how that turned. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, I can zoom out quite a lot actually. There you go. So let's see how we go here. So the last thing I wanted to do on this was just to add a piece of this ribbon in here so that it kind of looked like the bows, the flower had a bow around it, if that makes sense. Now I don't think I'll be able to do the bow like I did the other one. Which way are you going? Right. But let's see if I can get it to sort of go at an angle so that it looks like there's a little bow around the flower. I thought that was pretty creative on my part. This one's a little long. So after that long-winded thing, there you have two pretty simple cards to make. I mean, they're not difficult to make, these two. You know, they really aren't tricky to make. They are some good watercolour paper or something like it, stamp, embossing, chuck some watercolour paints, or if you've got Brushos, chuck Brushos over it like we did, and let it dry completely, and then chuck it together like that. Super easy to do, guys. Super easy. Although I have issues with bows and, you know, cameras, you won't have that problem. So, anyway, until next time, guys, stay safe, stay strong, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.